Hi guys, and welcome to my channel, Changing Phases Tarot. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. Now today's reading is an extended weekend reading looking at the energies surrounding us on the weekend of October 5th through the 7th, 2018. For the reading, I'm using the Sun and Moon Tarot deck by Vanessa Decort, and I've pulled one additional oracle card from the Earth Magic Oracle card deck by Stephen D. Farmer. As I like to remind you, these are general readings, so the messages may or may not resonate. The only way to get a truly personalized reading will be to order a private reading with me. If you're interested, all of the information can be found in the description box below this video. Okay, so, before I even get into the messages, I can definitely say that this could be a significant weekend for many of us, okay? The four cards, the three main in the main spread, plus the one from the bottom of the deck is the overall energy. Three of the four cards are major arcanas. So, when you have, nearly an entire reading appearing as major arcanas, these are significant messages coming through. It also shows that, things are very much out of our hands. It's kind of the universe stepping in, divine timing at play, divine orchestration of events. So do keep that in mind as we go through the reading. Now, in the past position, so the energy coming into the weekend, we have the Five of Cups. And in this deck, it's called Disappointment, and it does have a slightly different meaning. I will get to the specific meaning of the cards in a second. It's followed by Major Arcana number 13, Death. In this deck, it's called Rebirth, Death, Rebirth. And I absolutely love the representation of death in this deck. It's probably my most favorite representation of the Death card. The outbound energy for the weekend, we have Major Arcana number 20, Judgment. Okay, and it's called the Eon, Judgment. And the overall energy for the weekend, card from the bottom of the deck, we have Major Arcana number 8, Justice. And from the Oracle deck, we have Ocean, Ebb and Flow. And this is such a beautiful, very sort of peaceful, calm, right? All the beautiful, you might not be able to see the colors that well, but we have the, these very calm colors in the sky, very sort of pale yellows. And then we have the, the water coming in, and we'll get to this meaning in a second, but, major shift occurring. I think I'll start here with our overall energy. Okay, so the Justice card, this is a very karmic energy, okay? And the Justice card, it has a couple of different meanings, but to begin with, the kind of the legal sense, looking at it from a legal point of view, sometimes the Justice card appears when, we are dealing with the court system. So for some of you, obviously this is not going to resonate with everybody, but there could be a situation where you have been dealing with the courts, legal proceedings. This could be in any area, but could be, to do with relationships. So divorce proceedings, this could do with child custody, small claims court, whatever this might be. It usually represents, things going in your favor. So justice being served, the scales of justice being tipped in your favor here. So possibly finding out about, or, news about, a legal situation coming in here. For others, this could have to do with karmic justice being served. Okay, again, it is a very karmic card. So if you have experienced, or if something has been unfair, right? If somebody has treated you unfairly, this could now be, karma stepping in and karmic justice being served. So things, that person getting kind of what they deserved, you having things go in your favor now. And it's interesting because a lot of times, when things are unfair, if we are treated, if somebody does something, it's unfair, we might kind of think to ourselves, well, it's not right. Why is it that nothing happens to that person and they did that to me and nothing ever seems to, come back on them? Well, it does, but it's just not in our timing, right? It's not in the timing that we think things should happen. There's always, I'm looking here at the ocean, as much as we might want to say, oh, the tide needs to go out right now. The tide's only going to go out when it's supposed to go out, and the tide will only come back in when it's, meant to come back in. It's the same type of concept here with the Justice card. Things happen when they are meant to happen. So karmic justice being served, possibly. It is a card of also us needing to pay attention to our own actions, right? So weighing up both sides of, you can see obviously we have the scales of justice here, right? So weighing up both sides of a decision of a situation before making a decision on it. It's also about being responsible, taking responsibility for our own actions, understanding that, for each action there are consequences, right? So making or having, if there is a decision to be made, being very clear about, the consequences of our decisions, of our actions. Sometimes with the Justice card, there is a balancing out, even though the Temperance card has more to do with moderation and balance. There can be, a balancing out of things. There's also, truth is also kind of wrapped up in the Justice card, and just remembering that there is divine timing, right, for this karmic justice to be served. In this particular deck, as I like to remind everybody, each deck, yes, the energy of each card remains the same, but each deck does have its own sort of language, its own specific language, and at times does attach slightly different meanings or additional meanings to each of the cards. And in this particular deck, the Justice card is very much linked to, besides justice, to balance, right? To weighing things up. And it also has to do in this particular deck with finding, balance within a situation, clarity. And then it also has to do with looking at ourselves, right? And kind of looking at ourselves honestly, accepting the truth of what we have done, accepting, things that happen to us. It also has to, like I was saying before, the actions versus the consequences. It can sometimes bring into balance past and present, right? Can bring into balance kind of present and future. So there's we do have actually, I don't know if you can see it, but this deck, I love it because it's full of additional sort of symbols, and, it brings it's like deeper meanings, and I think it's richer, by including all of the different symbols. And we have the Alpha and Omega, right, symbols here on the scales representing, beginning and then end and completion. And so there is just wrapped up in the Justice card, especially in this particular deck, there is this kind of completion, karmic justice being served and completion. And that definitely comes through, strongly with the other cups that we have here, the Death card, the Judgment card, very much completion associated with these two cards. But let's go through. So, karmic justice at the center, or as the overall energy. Now, the Five of Cups, traditionally this Five of Cups, we think of it as, the Suit of Cups has to do with our feelings, our emotions, our relationships. It's also how our emotions affect our behavior, affect our relationships, sort of push us through life. And usually the Five of Cups it's associated with like a feeling of loss. You can see that the woman, right, she has 3 cups that are, they've spilled out into this body of water. And so she's looking, she's looking very sad here, but she does still have 2 cups next to her, And so even though there is this feeling of loss or, lack of fulfillment, possibly falling short, if there's a goal, not reaching that goal, because it doesn't necessarily have to be, like within a relationship. I mean, this can be, for example, if you set a goal for yourself, and you just didn't manage to, to reach that, or to finish something, or to complete that particular project, or whatever that goal was. It's not like, oh, everything is just doomed now. It's just you didn't, manage to complete it, maybe not within the time frame, or, so there is it's like a small setback. But instead of focusing on, what didn't work out, the 3 cups that have spilled out here, there's a need to focus on the 2 cups that we still have, okay? And so there is this, it's kind of like falling into the trap of pessimistic thinking, this pessimistic attitude, allowing ourselves to kind of wallow in this sadness and grief of what didn't work out, instead of focusing on the 2 cups here. And if we think about the 2 of Cups is, it's the minor arcana version of the soulmate card. It's that deep connection with another individual. It's a beautiful new relationship, possibly. So there could be still, things that are there that are possible. But, when we get caught up in that negative mindset and just only focus on what didn't work out, what we don't have, what, what's gone, what isn't, what didn't work out for us, disappointment, we end up missing out on things. And so that's sort of the main message with the 5 of Cups. Now, in this particular deck, the 5 of Cups is called disappointment, okay? And it's interesting because like I was saying, that these cards in this deck, they do have slightly different meanings. And it really speaks in this deck of letting go, okay? There is disappointment, but there's a need to let go of old emotional problems in order to experience transformation. And, this does sit in the past. So this is kind of, the energy that we might have already been through. We might be just experiencing this as we head into the weekend. But it's interesting that it says, letting go to experience transformation, because the other 2 cards here, they speak of transformation. They speak of, great growth, because these are major arcanas. So back to my favorite card here, the Death card. This is a card that speaks of great change, right, as a major arcana. And, without death, there can be no rebirth, right? And sometimes death, it can be painful, right? And it's not, well, yes, it can, sometimes the Death card can speak of, physical death. But in general, when the Death card appears in a reading, it's about the death of, of something, of a cycle, death of a situation, death of a way of thinking, right? This could be us ending a negative thought pattern with this card, right? This can also, it's very much to do with like release, detachment, again, getting rid of whatever this connection here is to the disappointment, releasing, those old thought patterns, or releasing, letting go of aspects of yourself even that are no longer useful. So it can be death of your old self, death of an old relationship, and it can have to do with change, renewal, passage. And we obviously have on this card this woman, kind of phoenix / beautiful woman on the card, which is a symbol of transformation, right? The phoenix rises from the ashes, and so it's reborn from its own ashes. And so it's a very powerful change card. So, obviously this is going to play out differently for everybody listening, but this could be, within your career sector. There could be maybe, you were so caught up on a promotion that didn't work out, or not getting the job, if you applied for a job, not getting that. But, it's like all is not lost. There still could be an opportunity there. Maybe you're, for whatever reason, you haven't noticed it, you haven't paid attention to it, you've been so focused on what didn't work out that, you didn't see that. And, now there's this chance for change, for transformation. If this is a relationship, maybe, a relationship didn't work out, or maybe within your relationship, an aspect of it didn't work out. Maybe there was just, something that you were trying to work on with your partner. That one particular thing didn't work out, but it doesn't mean that the whole relationship is doomed. No, it's just about moving on and renewal and change and widening perspective or consciousness and, and moving forward. And it leads us into the Judgment card, which is, it's another card that speaks as well of endings. This can be a significant decision as well, right? This kind of judgment call, needing to make a significant, judgment or decision. And again, with the Justice card, there could be some type of, legal judgment decision being handed down here as well. But, the Judgment card usually has to do with releasing as well, which is another message that came through with this card, right? We have it here as well. Releasing, so releasing the past, and also forgiveness, if there has been disappointment, if there has been some feeling of, regret, disappointment, sadness, it's time to release that. It's time for a new way of life. It's time for change. It's time to move forward with an awakened consciousness. So, so there is, change is definitely in, in most of, or if not all of the cards here. So change, renewal, and then release. Okay, release what doesn't, what no longer serves you. Release that. If this is your own negative, thinking or something within you that, you just need to let go of. It's no longer serving you. This new phase that's coming in, release something here, right? In order to make room, we can't have, without death, there can be no rebirth. So without first creating the space for the new thing coming in, without releasing the one situation, it's impossible to make that space, to have that space to welcome in something new. So, decluttering, getting rid of things. And this can be, again, physically removing things, right, to declutter. But it also could just be decluttering as far as our minds go, sitting down, meditating, thinking over if you are harboring any type of resentment, these feelings, negative feelings, sadness, disappointment, why are you still carrying those around, right? Wouldn't it be easier now to move into this new phase, to be reborn, to have this rebirth with the Death Rebirth card? Wouldn't it be easier to just, cut off those ties, release that extra baggage and move on, right? So that's a lot of release going on as well with these cards. Let me find the ebb and flow card. I like to read the full meaning for the oracle cards. Let me see here. This one doesn't come out that often. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's ocean. The card is ocean, but then underneath it, it says ebb and flow. That's why I couldn't find it in the ease. Here we go. Rain. Sorry, ocean. Found it. Okay. So if, like I usually explain with this particular deck, it starts off talking about the ebb and flow actually of, the movement of the ocean. And then it gets into the more, the meaning of the card. So I'm just going to read the meaning as far as how it relates, this ocean and ebb and flow, kind of what's the main message for that. It says an important aspect in the art of living is to move with the ebb and flow of your emotions, joining their fluidity, but not being captured by it. It is also not necessary to become obsessed with any particular fluctuation in mood or feeling. They are simply emotions, often activated in ways that are completely beyond your understanding. When you neither minimize nor exaggerate the intensity and importance of your emotions, you then have a greater sense of when and how to express them. You have been fighting the ebb and flow of your own feelings, denying your hurt, anger, or sorrow by either attaching yourself to one or the other and nurturing it as if it were a nursing child, or else smothering over your feelings with more practical responses that deny and hide what is going on beneath the surface of your expression. When you attempt to constrict yourself from experiencing your emotions, it is much like trying to stem the tides that grow even more forceful with every attempt humans make to control them. Allow yourself to swim with these variations rather than resisting them. That's interesting. I mean, it's not exactly what, was coming through here, but it does tie in with the reading in the sense that it's impossible to try to kind of get, like it was saying, to try to stop the ocean from doing what the ocean just naturally does, right? And it goes in, I think it ties in with when, with this many major arcanas, with this much sort of, divine orchestration at play. It's impossible for us to go against it, right? These things are surrounding us. These are energies surrounding us this weekend. It is about how we approach them, right? It's has to do with how we face the situation. We can either, focus on what didn't work out, the 3 cups that have spilled out here, the disappointment, or we can shift our consciousness and focus on the positive, focus on what is still there, focus on what we can change, the new things coming in, the cycle, this brand new cycle. But in order to do that, it does require a release, right? So releasing, letting go, getting rid of any, negative thought patterns. It can have to do with as well acceptance, right? Like we were just talking about, the accepting yourself and, not being so hard on ourselves. So, and also letting go of emotional problems, right? Releasing all of the emotional baggage in order to make the space to give way to this transformation and change, and, to bring about this shift as a significant, shift coming in, very karmic in nature. So powerful weekend. It'll be interesting to see how this kind of plays out for everybody. Do leave me comments at the end of the weekend. I'd be very interested to know how this kind of fits into your situation. But I do hope that the messages have helped you. I thank you for joining me today. I look forward to reading for you all again, and just know that I'm sending you much peace, love, and light for a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.